What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Dame. Subscribe to Dame's World. Hit the likes. Get the shares. Let's get through these algorithms. It's time to push Dame's World as a collective. Because we got the most fire content in this bitch, and it varies. Today, we going back to the eye test. But not only are we going back, we revamping the eye test. I created a point system. If you can't see, it's all abstract from here. But I created a point system in my eye test to grade these niggas. If you've watched previous eye tests, you see me pretty much off the head, freestyle base, how better or how good these players are in comparison to one another. Now, it's a system in this motherfucker. You feel me? And what better way than to put my system to the test than to do it with two of the top tier players in the history of the game. I'm talking Kobe Bryant and I'm talking Slim Reaper, baby. Black Mamba and Kevin Durant, baby. And the reason why I'm doing this, for one, we paying homage to the legend, the great Kobe Bean Bryant. It's been a year since his transition. Like you know, in Dame's World, legends don't die. They exist throughout, despite not having the physical manifestations in his universe. Kobe's energy is spread throughout this world. I feel that motherfucker in me. It got me in go mode. Legends don't die, but we're doing this in honor of the year of his transition, which is today. And what better way to do it than compare him to one of the other elitist scorers in the history of the game. So, without further ado, let me turn this volume down. We're going to break down these players' eye tests within the system at Dame's World. So, let's get it. Let's roll the tape. As we roll, the first category out the gate, shooting. Now, just to give you a little bit of disclosure on my system, shooting, most of these categories will be gauged from 0 to 4. 0 meaning you can't do it at all. 4 meaning you do it at the highest level. A few of these categories will be 5s because I think some of these categories are more significant than others. And as well as a few of these categories will be 3, meaning they are probably the least significant when it comes to gauging an eye test player. So this first category is shooting. This is out of 4. So 4 being the highest you can get. Kobe Bryant is a 3.8 at shooting. Why? Free throw, excellent free throw shooter, by the 85 career-wise. Mid-range, strapped up shorty, and mid-range would be the only one in which I would say Kobe is probably the better shooter than Kevin Durant in the mid-range, be it that that's both of their mainstays. I just seen Kobe be very diligent throughout his career with the midi, but KD arguably has a better mid-range as well. But Kobe's mid-range, excellent, probably better than Durant's, and Kobe's 3-ball is good as well. You might disagree due to the low percentage, but Kobe takes a lot of tough shots. So shooting, Kobe is a high 3.8. However, KD's a 4.0. Perfect A+ shooter, one of the greatest shooters I've ever seen in the history of the game. Free throw over a 90, around 90 every year. Mid-range just as good as Kobe's. I think that's the only argument for me. 3-ball, Kevin Durant is a better pure 3-point shooter than Kobe Bean Bryant. I will say this, streak shooting, when it comes to streaky shooting though, like when these players are hot, when Kobe's hot, ain't nobody doing nothing with that boy. He ain't missing too much shits. It's few players who can reel off 10, 13, 16 straight shots in a row. Kobe's one of those few players, and I've rarely seen even Durant do that. But overall shooting, give me KD. 4, perfect. Kobe 3.8. Passing. Kobe gets a 3.5 out of 4. Why? Because Kobe's a decent passer. Kobe's a good passer in my opinion. The only reason why it's not higher is because I don't think he was that much of a willing passer as much as Kevin Durant or other players. But 3.5 out of 4 is fair. I gave Kevin Durant 3.6. I think Kevin Durant is just as decent a passer, Probably Kobe creates better for other people, even though he looks for his shots first. But KD is a much more willing passer than Kobe Bryant. And for that reason and his skill set when it comes to passing, I edged it to KD again. 3.6 to 3.5 in passing. IQ. Know how. Know where to be. Know what to do. Both of these players out of 4 out of 4. Both of these are high IQ superstar players. The only time you guys might see them do something that's not quote unquote high IQ is when Kobe or KD takes a bad forced shot. But you have to factor in, they are the best player on the floor usually. So a forced KD shot or a forced Kobe shot to them is better than a Derek Fisher uncontested shot. Now, that might weigh on what you consider IQ, but for me, if you're the deadliest player on the court, you taking a contested shot over a average player good shot, I think that's still a high IQ play. It's all situational. So IQ, both of these players know what to do, where to be. 4 out of 4 for both of them. Defense. Defense is an important category. So this category weighs for 5. Kevin Durant, underrated defender in my opinion. I gave Kevin Durant a 4.5. He's heavily contesting rim shots since his probably OKC days. And he's a decent defender at the perimeter. Notice he's 7 foot tall, so he can back away from you. Doesn't have to play you tight, and you can't just blow by him because he's backing away. And if you think to pull up, his contest is right there. He's one of the lengthiest defenders in the league. Eye test material, though. If you have the stigma narrative on Kevin Durant, you might be like, why 4.5? But if you watch Kevin Durant from a day-to-day basis, 4.5 out of 5 to me is legit. It's not higher because his footwork is not so great. He doesn't really have the lateral movement like a Kobe Bean. But 4.5 out of 5, I give him that. Kobe, 5 out of 5. 5-star general, baby, when it comes to defense. Kobe straps up when need be. You've seen the infamous Olympic run when he made the onus to just play D, but you've seen him also play Russell Westbrook well, play Dwayne Wade full court press well, play LeBron James well. When it comes to on-ball defense, Kobe Bryant is an elitist for sure, and his off-ball is very good. I think Kevin Durant's probably a better off-ball given he's a shot blocker in the rim. But Kobe, as far as even passing lane and on-ball defense, I don't think it's no question in regards to who's the better player. I think Kobe's a top 10 defender in the history of the game. 5 out of 5 for Kobe when it comes to that. 4.5 out of KD. Ball handle. Ball handle was tough. This is out of 4, moderate category. I gave Kobe a 3.9 out of 4 because for two guards, he handles the ball at a premier level. You're not going to be able to name possibly any 2 guards who handled the ball better than Kobe Bryant, even Michael Jordan. You talk about crossover. You talk about just ball handle up the court, offhand. You talk about all these things that consist of ball handling. Kobe has it. The only reason why it's not at a perfect 4.0 is because you have Iversons, Kyrie Irvings, and people who've done it at a higher magnitude. But Kobe's right under those when it comes to ball handle. So I gave Kobe a 3.9 out of 4, while I gave Kevin Durant a 3.3. Kevin Durant is not as privy as taking the ball up the court. Offhand isn't that strong, and he's not really blurry video. He's not really accustomed to handling the ball at a full-time rate. However, he had a deadly crossover, and he can handle that bitch like a guard, even though he's 7 foot tall. So I gave him a 3.3 out of 4, which I believe is fair. You feel me? That's about B range. Finishing at the rim. Now, finishing at the rim, meaning contact layups, dunk on a nigga, fast break dunk, up and unders, every way you can finish at the rim, offhand finishing. Kobe Bryant is a 4 out of 4. Now, to put it in context, Jordan, Kyrie, Rose, Kobe, these are players who I would give 4 out of 4 because I see no matter what hand they use, the dexterity, the contact, possibly dunk on your fucking head. They are capable of finishing in every way at the rim, and they do it at a high rate. Kobe has excellent touch when it comes to the layups. You see the Jordan type finishes that he's had in his history. So 4 out of 4, that's the standard. Kobe, Rose, Jordan, those type of motherfuckers. Kyrie might be lower because he can't bang on a nigga, but you get what I'm saying. Kobe, 4 out of 4. Kevin Durant, I gave a 3.7 out of 4. Why? Because Kevin Durant is still 7 feet tall. He has the leverage if he goes by you to dunk on some shit. But his finishing with his offhand and like up and under dexterity type finishes, he's not as good. Plus, when it comes to contact finishes, if he's not rising up on you, he's probably going to get thrown when it comes to these finishes, which is a hindrance when it comes to finishing. You know, you flailing your arms, you might get to the line. That's a prime, that's a prime example of what I'm talking about right there, of finishing. But Kevin Durant struggles just a bit more when it comes to finishing because he's not as physical. This shit taking forever. So let's just talk through it. Let me see where we at. He's just not as physical, and given his offhand finishing is a little bit of a hindrance, I slided it to Kobe Bean. Now, driving at the rim. Kobe's a better driver at the rim, especially when you have to regard. I try to make all of these categories for the prime in which we've seen him. As we saw the drive and the finish right there, nasty 360 layup. But Kobe with the fro, Kobe early on, you couldn't stay in front of him. It was impossible. He was the first flash. And as you know, Wade was a hard nigga to stay in front of. So driving at the rim, I gave Kobe a 4 out of 4. It's a select few players who you just can't stay in front of. Bryant would be 4 out of 4. Rose as well would be 4 out of 4. Iverson. A lot of players will be 4 out of 4 when it comes to driving at the rim. Can't be stifled. Kevin Durant is a 3.2, however. Why? Kevin Durant, again, his weight being a little bit and his height being so big, he struggles to go by people at times. You have a little Tony Allen or a littler defender, he's not just going to blaze by them easily. It's going to be a struggle. However, because he's a great shooter and because he has a great skill set, he can blow by niggas. He will get by niggas. So 3.2 out of 4 I felt was fair for him. Let me bring this whole shit back real quick so we can get that load up out the way. 3.2 I felt was fair for him with the drive. Out of 4. Possibly could be higher, but, you know, his physicality limits him from really blowing by niggas, in my opinion. Post play, as we see right there with the midi. Kobe Bryant, again. Kobe's the standard for skill. I'm going to let you niggas know that. So a lot of y'all might be like, damn, he got a lot of perfect scores. Post play. Other than Jordan, as a guard, you haven't seen a better post player than Kobe, and I will argue Kobe has better footwork in the post than Jordan and a better array of moves. Jordan was stronger and had a decent, well-versed amount of moves as well, but as far as just each and every move in the post, Kobe to me is the standard. I gave him a 4 out of 4 in the post. I gave Kevin Durant a 3.6 in the post. Why? Because when he's in the post, he regards to really the same move. Hezzy 3 as you see. He regards to shooting over you. He really faces up more so than post. His back-to-the-back basket game to me is not that great when it comes to the variety of moves. He does have both shoulders off the pull, and he will just pull right over you, like just back you down and do a right hand turnaround. But for the most part, when he's in the post, he's shooting over you. Kobe can get you in so many ways in a post, it's not even funny. So 3.6 3.6 for Kevin Durant in the post. Perfect 4.4 for Kobe. Athleticism. Both of these players athletic. Kobe with the fro, Kobe in his prime. To me, and again, athleticism is a higher category. Now, pay attention. We had defense, because I think that's very important as far as superstardom. Athleticism, because I think that's very important. Look at these names. You see the athletes in regards to being a superstar. So this is 5 points. Kobe gets a 4.8. I'm regarding Kobe in his prime, Kobe with the fro, not the old nigga, but that Kobe can blow by anybody, is very fast, and can leap out the building. He's known for dunking on most of your favorite centers, Dwight Howard, Yao Ming, whoever you can name, Tim Duncan, David Robinson, and a lot of it comes because of athleticism and skill. He has the blow by to get you the array of moves, and then he has the athleticism, the bounce to put one right over your head. So I give that a 4.8. The only reason why it's not higher, because I've seen LeBron James and Michael Jordan, and I've seen athletes more superior than Kobe. 4.8. Nice. KD 4.5. Why? Because he's less as fast. He has less bounce, but he's 7 foot tall. So be it that you're 7 foot tall and you're athletic as you are, it's insane. Granted, Kobe's faster than him, but Kevin Durant, for being 7 foot tall, is fast. He run like a fucking deer. And his athleticism for being 7 foot tall is not that bad. He will pipe on you. He can get up. It's just not at the magnitude of a Kobe, of a Jordan, of a LeBron, of a Rose. And yes, I keep saying Rose, nigga, because that prime Rose is one of the best niggas I ever seen. So he get 4.5 out of 5, while I give Kobe a 4.8 out of 5. Transition offense. This is out of 4. I gave Kobe a 3.6. Kobe in his prime could be a one-man fast break, and Kobe was also a great finisher, lob catching, and being a good off-ball transition player. Kevin Durant, I gave also a 3.6. Why? Because the way he runs as a big. Usually who's guarding him doesn't get down the court as frequently as, or I gave him a 3.3, not 3.6. Usually the player doesn't get up the court as frequently as KD. He's often found you could throw him up something and he's down there before his player, but he doesn't start transition on his own. He's not really the LeBron type to get it and go. He's more of a get it, pass it to somebody, and let me run the wing. So it's slightly less than Kobe's transition, but 3.3 to 3.6 out of 4, both of them pretty even. Rebounding. Kobe gets a 3.4 out of 4. Kobe a decent rebounder, especially for a guard. Can be tenacious down there. Can be someone who gets 10 to 15 rebounds if he puts the effort towards it. You've seen the Celtics finals, but not the best rebounder on the planet. 3.4 is about a B. KD 3.7. Taller, rebounds better in my opinion, but still I wouldn't put him up there with the elitist rebounders just yet. Excuse me. Given again his physicality is not that great, so you put him against a LeBron rebounding, I'm more privy to take LeBron. Isolation. This one's out of 4. 4 out of 4 for both players. These are some of the best isolation players you've ever seen in your life. You're not going to get too much better, or I don't think you're going to get better isolation than Kobe. Kobe's a 4.0 out of 4. A+. You got post play, you got outside game, you have offhand, you have handles, you got everything you want. Face up game, anything in regards to isolation, post play, Kobe Bryant got it, and Kevin Durant essentially has it as well. I think KD just has a lesser of a package, but the reason why I give him the great ISO, because if he's one-on-one, he can shoot over you at all times. Face-up game is decent. Post play is good enough. Outside game is wicked, especially when he get to double-crossing niggas, stepping into them threes. LeBron, holla at me, you know what I'm talking about. So, isolation, 4.0. Off-ball offense. KD again, 4.0. As far as superstars, nice. As you see that. As far as superstars, probably other than Chef, I think KD's the best off-ball offensive player I've seen. Because for one, he can run off these picks because he's a prolific shooter, but also because you're playing him so high and he's 7 foot tall. If you do try to play the passing lane, he'll backdoor you and get a dunk. If you pay attention, this is eye test shit. He gets a lot of easy buckets simply off that. Backdooring a nigga for a free dunk because they playing his ass so tight. Whereas Kobe, playing in a triangle, it's set for you to get an ISO. You don't see it as frequent, but Kobe Bryant is an excellent off-ball offensive player. So that's why I gave him a 3.8. I just gave KD a 4.0. That's the best off-ball player I've seen, him and Chef. Offhand, Kobe Bryant, 4.0 offhand. 4.0 offhand, and let me explain. He's the standard because he uses his offhand probably more frequently than anybody you've seen in the game. You talk about offhand layups, you talk about offhand dribbling, you won't be able to distinguish it when you see him use it. A lot of the times you see people dribble high with their offhand, i.e. Kevin Durant. Pay attention when he dribbles to his left a lot of the times. Not saying his left ain't cool like right here, but it's clearly not as good as his right. Whereas Kobe, it seems Kobe and Kyrie, these people who had daddies, who were hoopers, they've been playing since 2-3, so they've been trained to have a left hand. That's why Kobe's offhand is a 4 out of 4. Kevin Durant's a 2.5 out of 4. I don't think his finishing with his left hand is that great. And his ball handle, aside from that double cross he got with the left hand, you can see he goes kind of higher with it, and he'd rather not do it. This is eye test shit. Crossover. Kobe Bryant, 3.7 out of 4. Kobe had a great cross, especially in his heyday, even still in his 30s. Rock you, hit you with the step back. Never was too much of a double cross type guy, more of a singular, rock you to sleep, bam, boom your shit, old school Iverson style. But his crossover was deadly and dangerous. I have it at a 3.7 out of 4. Kevin Durant, I have at 3.9 out of 4. So better cross than Kobe. Again, Kobe I think has better handles. Overall handles, talking about in and out, talk about step back, you talk about putting the ball between your legs, you talk about every method in which you can dribble the ball. I got Kobe, but strictly crossover, KD's one of my favorites, my nigga. Look, again, shooting over the defender like I told you in the post. KD with that double cross and that single rocker, his shit is like a 7-foot Darren Williams to me. And the only reason why it's not 4, because again, you have Kyrie and niggas like Iverson who are at the standard. Remember, in order to have a perfect score, you have to be the standard. So I gave KD 3.9 crossover, which is almost a perfect, given he's 7 foot tall as well. Nobody 7 foot cross like him. Triple threat face up. Out of 4, both of these players get a 4. Once they triple threat in their little area, they're 17, 18 foot, you as good as gone, and that's when a double should come. You feel me? Usually they get it, they start off in the post, and then them niggas turn around, look you in your eye, and kill you. KD, his face up is pure because as soon as he turn around, you give him that leverage, he's shooting right over you, or he can blow by you. His first step is immaculate. Their footwork without dribbling, just to get space with the face up, both is excellent. So I gave both of them a 4 out of 4 in triple threat face up. That was Kobe's mainstay. That's KD's mainstay. Killer instinct. We gotta bring it back again, huh? We run out of tape. Killer instinct. Kevin Durant hasn't shown me killer instinct like that. Only a couple times when he go head up against LeBron in the finals, it seemed like he got it out for Bron. When he sees Bron, it's like, I want to prove to everybody I'm better than this nigga. So in those instances is when I see Kevin Durant's killer instinct. But I've seen Kevin Durant be very passive and be someone who it appears to let somebody else take over the game, a Russell Westbrook, even a Kyrie in these recent games, or even a Chef, you know what I'm saying? Which is not a bad thing. It's just when you have that killer mindset and instinct, you kind of revert it to, it's almost a selfish act of, I gotta get her done. Fuck that. I don't trust these niggas. I don't even know if they're on the level of thinking that they have to get it done the way I do, but we not losing this fucking game. You get that from a Russell Westbrook, from a Kobe Bryant, from a Allen Iverson. Killer instinct is in the mind. You know what I'm saying? So, KD's 2.9 out of 4. Kobe Bryant 4.4. You're not going to find, again, that's a standard. If you get a perfect score, you're the standard. You're not going to find a player with more killer instinct than Kobe. Sustainability. Sustainability means you've been doing you for a long time and you've been able to not be hurt. You know what I'm saying? Throughout your career. Or you play through injuries. You can sustain the injury. Kobe's a 3.9 out of 4. Why? Because throughout Kobe's whole career, he played with injuries only until his Achilles, in which he couldn't. So that's why he's not the standard, because he ended up popping his cork at the end, unfortunately. But 3.9, be it that Kobe been balling his whole life consistent for 17, 18, 19 years. And even when he did have injuries, he played through them often. I remember his shoulder, rotator cuff was fucked up. His, two of his damn fingers were stuck together. So sustainability, I have 3.9. KD, I have 3.5. Because, of course, he's playing at Kevin Durant level his whole career. But he had 2 major injuries. One being the Achilles, one being the foot. Both of them being the legs. You're a 7-foot tall player. So this is the first time we've seen a body even act like this in the NBA at 7 foot. So I'm not sure if his body can withstand what he has to do for another 10 years. Again, Kobe's a 18-year pro. Was an 18-year pro. Kevin Durant's about 11. So if he can keep it up, his sustainability will rise. It's just with those 2 injuries, I can't say he's the standard. LeBron is the standard when it comes to that. You feel me? I ain't gonna lie. So 3.5 sustainability to 4. Clutch. Now, clutch is not killer instinct. I know it sounds similar, but killer instinct is in the mind, right? Now, people who have killer instincts usually perform in the clutch, but that doesn't always correlate. Russell Westbrook has a killer instinct, but sometimes it goes against his clutch performances. He might be forceful and end up losing a game because of that. And I've actually seen Kobe, because of his killer instinct, be forceful and lose a game. So it could be the gift and the curse. So clutch is more so what we've seen you do in those clutch moments. Forget the mind state that you took. Did you produce? So like I say, I don't think LeBron has killer instinct like that, but he's performed in clutch moments to where I say, okay, he is pretty clutch. He has moments that I've seen and remembered. But killer instinct and clutch, they coincide, but they're not the same. So clutch, Kobe's a 4. 4 out of 4 because I challenge anybody. If it ain't Jordan, and even if it is Jordan, I think I can pull more visual clutch moments from Kobe than anybody. Why? Because for one, he's performed and produced them. And for 2, when it came to crunch time, all the Lakers used to just give it to the nigga. Even in 97, who want the ball? Kobe want the ball. When it became 2000s, 2001, it wasn't even a question as to who's getting the ball. Not Shaq, it's guaranteed Kobe. And All-Star games, Olympic games, when it comes crunch time, no matter who team he's on, Kobe gets the ball. This is, you can reference this with the anecdotes. So 4.4 clutch, KD 3.2 out of 4. Not saying he's not clutch. 3.2 is about a B. But I've seen some not so clutch moments, and I've seen some clutch moments, and given his killer instinct is not that high in my opinion, I don't weigh his clutch as high as it probably should be given his skill. You know what I'm saying? I think KD probably should have more clutch moments than he got, as we see the blow by again in a 360 layup. So clutch 3.2, Kobe perfect 4. Hustle. This is where we get the categories worth 3 points. Not 4, 3 points. The ones that don't mean as much. You talk about hustle. Now, Kobe had good hustle his whole career. KD, pretty good hustler. This one's kind of hard to gauge because none of these players going to get on the floor. But, you know, with Kobe's tenacity and his will to win, if he got to work for it, he going to work for it. If he going to full court pressure, he going to do it. So Kobe's is a 2.8 out of 3. While KD, I got a 2.6 out of 3. About B averages for them. The standard hustler probably won't be a superstar. So this one was kind of tough for me to gauge. Grit. Grimy grit. I think this is a low category, but I think this is needed because a grit can intimidate you out of your game. Grit can make you the better team if one team is more talented and your team is all grit. Shout out to the Miami Heat. Gritty team, for example, beating teams that Boston Celtics probably have more skill set. So grit is a level of importance. Out of 3, Kobe's grit is a 3. Kobe's grimy. Kobe's thirsty. Kobe's physical. Kobe's a shit talker. Kobe's the definite one of the standards for gritty players. And as a superstar, that's rare because usually they have kind of diva type mind states. You know what I'm saying? But Kobe's grit is a 3. KD's is a 1.8. Bring it back one more time. Why? KD's simply not gritty. KD's a finesse player. People aren't intimidated by Kevin Durant when it comes to his defense, even though he's a stout defender in my opinion, or his physicality. He's not finna get up in you when he plays you on the perimeter. He's gonna lay back off you because he's 7 foot. He's not finna be pushing you out the paint. Kobe will push Melo, push Paul Pierce out the paint. Kobe will press you up on defense. Kobe give you elbows. So the definition of gritty, I think Kobe, Jordan, they define that shit. While KD's a little lower. He's a 1.8. Team player. Kobe, out of 3, team players are 1.9, which is like a C or might be a D. Why? Because a lot of players complained about Kobe. Shaq, Phil, Smush, many other players, they just didn't like playing with him. It's a Kyrie Irving effect where these people are kind of narcissistic in their approach, self-serving. So they have a goal to accomplish, and be it that they are self-serving in that manner, they don't have the regard for players like a LeBron James, like a Kevin Durant. I think the beauty about LeBron and KD is I love the way they are team players, even though I scoff at the fact that they play with legends. I do love the fact that they're willing passers. They teammates don't really talk too much negative about them when you hear their anecdotes. Whereas Kobe, it wasn't like that. You got a lot of grief. Only niggas like Fisher and Gasol like Kobe as a teammate. Probably owed him. But team player, I had 1.9 out of 3 for Kobe, and I had a straight 3 for KD. I don't see players calling KD a bad teammate. Even Russell Westbrook, I don't think he would say he's a bad teammate. I say he probably did a whole move. Westbrook might think he did a whole move and not calling him. But as far as on the court team player, I would love to play with fucking Kevin Durant. Honestly. I mean, I like the fact that Kobe's a rider. So if you one of those players who just want to see somebody ride, you would like to play with Kobe. But if you're not a player that can take criticism, that buckles when you get chastised, or ain't even accustomed to talking shit or getting shit talked to, then Kobe might not be the teammate for you. So I gave him a 1.9. Coachability. I gave Kobe another 1.9. Kobe has been deemed uncoachable by Phil Jackson, which was his coach. So that leads me to believe that he wasn't the best player to be coached. And also, when he had other coaches, you can see Kobe is essentially micromanaging the team and managing the team on his own. So I never really seen Kobe be a yes sir, yes man type guy. So, and in the realm of being coached, I think it takes a good player is a yes man when it comes to how to be coached. Kobe's not a yes man. So he's a 1.9. Durant, 3. I don't see too much problems with his coaching because he's so adjustable, so adaptable to the game. He can play off the ball. He doesn't need the ball. He can play on the ball. If they suggest him to do something, I don't see Durant being too much bark back like Kobe was. You know what I'm saying? So I gave him a perfect 3 coachability. We got 2 minutes left. Scoring. This is a 5 category. Again, this is the third 5 category we got. And both these niggas get 5 out of 5. You talk about 3 of the top, or 2 of the top, in my opinion, 3 scorers. You throw Jordan in there. Nobody does it better. They're all the standard at scoring. You see Kevin Durant right there freaking niggas. You got the outside game. You got the inside game. You got the mid-range pull-up. You got the deep ball pull-up. You got the drive finish to the rack. You got the crossover. You got the handles. You got the post. You got the face-up. You have everything in your box. That's the standard. You got everything in your box, and you do this shit relentlessly. So both of them have a 5. Overall skill. Kevin Durant is at a 4.5. Let me bring it back just a little more. KD's at a 4.5 out of 5. This is another 5 category. So let's bring it back. The 5 categories. The categories worth 5 points. Defense, athleticism, scoring, skill. Defense, athleticism, scoring, skill. Those to me are the 4 most important things that make up of a superstar. Defense, athleticism, scoring, skill. You feel me? Those are my 5 categories. Now KD's a 4.5 out of 5. Why? Highly skilled for a big. But as far as the standard, Kevin Durant's footwork isn't the best. His post game, he doesn't have every single move, and his offhand isn't something that's quintessential in my opinion when it comes to offhand basketball. Like if we even watch here, he went back to the right. But Kevin Durant is so high at skill because he's 7 foot tall. We haven't seen anybody as skilled at this height. But as far as the standard of skill, he's a little bit lower than the likes of Kobe or Jordan or Kyrie Irving, who has a Birkin fucking bag and a Gucci bag. They got multiple bags that they hold in, outside in the perimeter and inside in the post. Even Kyrie's post is more nuanced than KD's, believe it or not. So overall skill, I got KD at 4.5, and I'm gonna bring it back one more time. And I got Kobe at 5.5. Kobe Bryant is the standard for skill. He's the most skilled basketball player I've ever seen, and I don't even want to argue with niggas when it comes to this. Because Jordan is skilled, and he probably was the most skilled in his era, but Kobe just refined Jordan shit. And in the era of evolution, Kobe picked up ball handles that Jordan didn't have. Kobe had a 35-foot jumper that Jordan didn't have. Kobe had moves that Jordan didn't have, and he has moves that KD or LeBron or Wade never got. Post game, more efficient than them. Ball handle, more efficient than Kevin Durant, LeBron, even Wade. So you just talk about overall skill set, do everything. You can't name one thing on the basketball court that Kobe can't do. You can't name one thing on the basketball court that Kobe can't do. Whereas these other players, they have some type of deficiency. KD can't work his feet like Kobe in the post. KD's left hand turnaround in the post, like left side, is difficult. If you notice, when he in the post, he turns around to the right side. He feels more comfortable going to the right side of his shoulder. In and out, shit like that. Kobe's in and out with his left hand is just as good as his right. So when you just start nitpicking down a line of skill, give me Kobe, give me Kyrie. Those are the standards when it comes to skill. So I had Kobe at a 5 out of 5. And now, that wraps up all 25 categories in this structured system that I made. So it's cumulative. All 25 categories make up of a hundo. Rating a hundo. So when I add all of these categories up, Kevin Durant's rating out of 100 ends up being 90.3. 90.3 out of 100. So you have an A grade player, high caliber. 90.3 is where KD fits on the system. And that entails about a 3.6 out of 4 rating. Every category, when you cumulative, or when you do the average of 25 categories, every category averages out as 4. We have a couple 5 and a couple 3. It averages out to 4. So a 3.6 out of 4 is an A player. 90.3 is what we give Kevin Durant. Kobe Bryant got a 95 out of 100. Just more categories in which he won, more fine-tuned in certain areas, less fine-tuned, but his overall cumulative 95 out of 100, which in my eye test criteria makes Kobe Bryant the better player than Kevin Durant. Even though this shit is close, and ironically, I didn't mean to make these niggas that rating. I just found out at the end, but I think it's a pretty fair rating. Kevin Durant is great, and Kevin Durant is one of the best players I've ever seen, but I do believe Kobe Bryant, when you start reeling off every category, especially talking about overall skill, defense, grit, tenacity, and killer instinct, it's certain things that leverage Kobe and Jordan to me over everybody. I got the Kobe Jordan in a little category, and then I start talking KD, Bryant, and them big niggas. That's just my personal opinion. So overall, Kobe's a 95. I got him winning this eye test. If we want to talk about the system, Kevin Durant has 7 perfect scores. His shooting was perfect. His IQ was perfect. His isolation was perfect. His off-ball offense was perfect. His triple threat face-up was perfect. His scoring was perfect. And his scoring was perfect. 1, 2, 3, 4. He had 6 perfect scores. His scoring was perfect. Where Kobe had 12 perfect scores on my system. IQ, defense, finishing at the rim, driving at the rim, post play, isolation, offhand, which is key, triple threat face up, killer instinct, clutch, grit, scoring, and overall skill. So just breaking down my eye test criteria, Kobe Bryant over Kevin Durant, man. And this, you feel me, wraps it up. Let me know your thoughts, your comments. If there's, okay, we can do one more thing. We can talk about categorically how many KD got. 25 categories, KD got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Durant won 7 categories over Kobe Bryant in my criteria. Kobe won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Kobe won 13 categories, and the rest were ties. So, just giving that breakdown, man, I got Kobe Bryant. I don't know who y'all got. Let me know your thoughts, your comments. This is new criteria that I'm trying out. I think it's decent. I think it's more fair than what I was trying out with the rambling, freestyling off the top. I think it puts more in perspective why I have who I have. Y'all just let me know your thoughts, your comments. Shout out to the legend. Shout out to the great Kobe. You meant so much to this game. You meant so much to this world. You were destined to do so much. So it's only right I pay homage by doing a classic eye test of Kobe being Bryant. I got him winning this versus Kevin Durant. 95.0 rating out of 100 versus 90.3. Let me know your thoughts, your comments. Let me know about the system. It's your boy Dame. Peace.